The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
Paul Mecurio is here.
Yay!
He's right there. He is.
Hi, Paul.
How are you?
There's the guy who haggled.
Oh, he's coming to give me a hug.
To put his dog to sleep. Oh, he's giving Gandhi a hug.
Since we had sex in Columbus.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I just wanted you to know who you hired, that's all.
So, Gandhi, you had sex with him in Columbus.
I don't remember that happening, but if he says so,
Well,
I
because
guess.
it was so fast, that's why. It was,
I guess that did
Man. Hey, you know, I got a question. How long have you lived in New York?
been here about 20 years now.
And you got lost finding our studio?
I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I know. I did the classic, like, I got to, is it Canal and 6th or Lafayette and 6th? And I'm like, do I go left or right? And I see this building with all of these, like, dishes, satellite dishes. I'm like, I think that's it, but I don't know if I should go right. And I did the stupid thing you never do. I went up to some construction guy in a van who could care less about anything. Right. And it's so low rent, the van wasn't even power windows. It's like, and I go, is it? And he was so confident that it was right that I thought, okay, it's right. And I go up right, and I'm like, okay, 100. And but I'm like, I'm going uptown. Usually when you go uptown, the numbers go up. And then I start running, and then I realize I am way off. And then I call my wife, and I started ranting on the phone to my wife. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm running around in 20-degree weather. And then I calmed down, and I called Nate.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we started your day off like that.
No, it's not you. It's me.
But it is but Paul, it is a New York thing. If people come up and say, hey, can you tell me how to get to Spring Street? And you go, oh, okay, it's easy. It's 3 blocks that way, and you'll see it. And then you walk away, and you're 2 blocks away, and you're like, oh, my God, I sent them the wrong way. And then you go to try to find them. And you never find them. And you know they're like, you stupid New Yorkers.
Exactly. You feel guilty. You feel like you gave us a worse reputation.
Right. I think the guy in the van rolled the window up and just started laughing. And he said to his friend, "It's not right. It's left."
So Paul, how do you know our Gandhi?
Well, I go to the Columbus Funny Bone, which is a great club in Columbus, Ohio, and I went on one of the big radio shows in Columbus, and that's when I first met her, and we just hit it off. And you came to a couple of my shows.
Yep.
And
he came to my birthday party.
I went to her birthday party, and I never met a male hooker before, but that was awesome. And so we basically that's how, and we've just become friends since then and stayed in touch. Yeah,
just buddies.
Yeah.
So you're doing a one man show.
Yeah.
It's called Permission to Speak. How long has it been running so far?
Since July.
All right. So have you done a one man show before?
No, and
there's got to be some kind of terror in that. I don't know.
You know, there wasn't until you said that. Well, you know what? It's not a stand-up show in a theater. Like sometimes one-man shows by comedians are like long-form stand-up in a theater with a set. I wanted to do something different, and Gandhi seen me do this. So in my stand-up, I talk to people and then I bring them on stage, from doing it on the road and everything, I've been getting these stories. It's like crazy stories that are real. And someone saw me doing it in New York at the Late Show in the warm-up, and a producer, and he said, well, those people plants. I'm like, no. He goes, well, how did it work out? I go, I don't know. I just talked to them and asked them questions. I mean, you're a great interviewer. You know, if you ask good questions.
Well, that's my point. I'm not to interrupt you here, but I've seen you do this, and you are an unbelievable interviewer.
Oh,
and
thanks.
you really know how to drive someone down a certain pathway to get them to a really funny place.
Yeah, but I think what it is it's not like a trick, or like, I just have this weird natural curiosity. So I'll just keep asking questions, and I'm like the gauge. So I say to myself, if I'm asking it in my head, probably 90% of the people in the audience are asking it, right? So, but sometimes it's simple. Like in my one-man show, I had this woman. I go, "What's your name?" She goes, "Nydia." I go, "Lydia?" She goes, "No, Nydia." I go, "That's an unusual name. How'd you get that name?" She goes, "Well, my father named me after his lover." I'm like, "Oh, okay, you were born out of wedlock. No big deal. That happened." She goes, "Oh, no. My father was married, got my mother pregnant with me. At the same time was having an affair with a woman named Nydia, and he named me after the woman he was having an affair with."
Who can make that up? You know?
Exactly. And everybody's faces that was here in the studio, eyes that big in the audience. And then I asked the dumbest question. Well, they go, "Your parents still together?" She goes, "Heck no. What are you, crazy?" They divorced after that. And so I just found there was another couple, 68. She was 68. He was 69. I go, "You married?" They go, "Yeah." "How long?" "A year." Everybody claps, because they're a little older. They found each other. How did you meet? The woman giggles. She goes, "We met on spankme.com." Okay. Now everybody did exactly what you're doing. Everybody laughed. I laughed.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, they're pulling my leg. I go, yeah, right. She goes, no. And the guy goes, no, we have a very open sexual relationship. And now everybody's like, huh? And he goes, I go, you swap? He goes, no, we have no inhibitions. We think people are inhibited. We just do what we, and she goes, and then she said the following sentence. Yeah. Very like this. She goes, I was looking for a dom, and he was looking for a sub, and we met on the website, and we role played, and we did S&M, and we realized we belonged together, and we fell in love, and we eloped, and we're here on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And the place went crazy.
That's awesome.
And here's the thing. They look like your grandmother and grandfather. The guy had like sensible LL Bean shoes on and a short. And here's the great thing, too, and you might find this interviewing people. I find the package a lot of times doesn't match the story.
Oh, never.
So these people looked like that. And then literally the next night, the juxtaposition was this. I had this guy, all tattoos, maybe like 35, like he had a nose ring. He looked like really, you know. And I go, you look like you're either in a band or a roadie for a band. He goes, I was a roadie for the Ramones. I'm like, whoa. I go, what do you do now? He goes, I'm a librarian. Again, everybody starts laughing. And I go, really? And this one I wouldn't believe. And finally had to call his girlfriend up. She goes, am I a librarian? He goes, yeah. She goes, yeah. And then he goes, you want to know how I got into library school? Because you got to go to a certain school. And how he goes, I need a letter of reference. So one of the Ramones wrote me a letter of reference for library. Yeah, to get him in. And this is my point in that is this guy looked like he should be doing S&M, and that couple looked like they should be librarians. And it was flipped.
Well, we should never be judging any book by any cover. But this is a wonderful thing about just bringing anyone up who's not there to sell a book or sell a movie or like a celebrity or an artist. Bringing anyone up and just talking to them. I have found every single person listening to this show or in this room has an edge or they have a story.
Yeah. That's actually the theme of the show.
And they take it for granted.
I have an opening monologue, a closing monologue, and in the opening monologue I say, look, there's going to be something different. It's not a stand-up show. There's a set. The set was designed by the set designer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and The Daily Show and The Colbert Report, shows I worked on. And what we do is we take people's pictures in the lobby, and then those pictures go to a computer program, and those pictures get projected onto the set.
Right.
Of the people who are in the audience. So at some point they see themselves on the set because really the theme is just the audience show. And I say those exact words. Everybody has a story, and given an opportunity, people will tell it, and then they talk, and then they connect. And like it's been working. Like again, people say to me, "Were they plants? Were they this or that?" I'm like, no, we had a woman who 83 years old, lives on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. She walked FDR's dog. She lived in the building with FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt and walked his dog.
Can you imagine? And
then I go, did you have pooper scoopers at the time? She goes, no, you just went where? I go, what did you do? She goes, you just watched where you walk. That's what you did in New York.
By the way, this is Paul Mecurio. His one-man show we're talking about is called Permission to Speak. But if you do a search on the Googles, I mean, he's got all sorts of stuff you can watch online. You were a lawyer. And you left that prestigious field to do comedy, to be an entertainer. I mean, I find you beyond just a comic. I mean, you do a lot of it's great stuff you're doing. Was anyone pissed off that you threw away an opportunity to be a lawyer?
That's the nicest way anybody ever asked that. Are you an idiot? Which is what I would say.
Who paid for law school and how do they feel about this?
Yeah, my parents, I had kind of made it. My parents' family parents were born in Italy. They were first-generation American, high school educated. My mom is 90, still running her furniture store. My father passed away. He put floors in for a living. I made it. I was a lawyer on Wall Street. And, I was doing these big merger deals for a big firm.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. It was like
a laugh a minute.
Exactly. It's like nothing like going through a 400-page merger document. Woohoo! Right. And then I started to write jokes as a hobby. I don't know why. I actually started to make short films when I got out. From ideas I had in law school. Anyway, so I'm writing these jokes, and then Jay Leno is the private entertainment at a function that my firm was invited to. I was working all night. I was like, I don't have time. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm just going to go. And so he does the thing, and I go up to him, and I have 12 pages of jokes with 10 jokes a page, a ton of jokes. And I go up to him, and I go, I don't know if you need jokes for Tonight Show monologue, but I'm a big fan, and you can have them. And he's like, okay. And it was really it was like somebody grabbed his throat like a balloon. It was like they let helium out of his head, and you just want to go, breathe! Right? And he's like, okay. And he takes them and he puts them in his pocket. And then 2 days later, my phone rings, and this happens on the phone. Hello. Hey, it's Jay Leno. It's Paul Mecurio there. And I'm like, I take a beat, and I go, what? He goes, it's Jay Leno. And I thought it was my friend David who does impressions, and I told him that I had met Jay Leno, and he was like punking me, right? And I go, yeah, really funny, David. He goes, no, it's really Jay Leno. And I actually said to Jay Leno, you do a lousy Jay Leno. And he goes, no, I think I do I go, this is the worst Jay Leno I've ever heard. And then I found out, oh, my God.
They're great.
And then he goes, I read your stuff, and I need stuff for the monologue, and I'll hire you. If I use something, I'll pay you per joke. And he goes, what do you do for a living? I go, I'm a lawyer. He goes, I knew it. I go, why? He goes, you write like a lawyer. You're too wordy. He goes, get to the punchline already. I had like 4 lines.
Was that some of the best advice you've ever received?
Yeah, the best advice I ever got from him was, if you're going to do this full time, stand up. Do not buy anything, and just free yourself of anything that requires money or commitment, because then you're going to have to go get a day job or 2, and you're not going to be able to focus on being a stand-up 100% of the time, and it'll slow down your progress.
You know, Paul, it's really important to kind of emphasize everything you've been talking about, because this is kind of our commitment to our listeners, and we want them to know that there is a world that's waiting for them out there if they're in a job they don't like.
Yeah.
Or they're in this, they're on not the treadmill, the treadmill. They're not moving anywhere, and they're running and running and not getting anywhere in life. There are side hustles. There are other things you can do. Your dreams can come true. You don't have to be stuck in the same thing for the rest of your life.
I'm so glad you said that, because this is something I like to talk about. You read sometimes like so-and-so pursued his dream and he got it. And it's not like that. It's scary. There's a lot of doubt. And I never was, and I had like a midlife crisis in my late 20s, because I had always had it figured out. And our society is like, you do A, you do B, you do C, you get your job, you work 20 years, you retire as partner, and you go to Florida, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the path I was on. I had a beautiful 2-bedroom co-op on the Upper West Side. I had a Saab. I had really nice, I had it, right? My wife and I together since high school. It's great, right? And then this thing hits me. And I start and then I start doing stand-up. Because Jay says, go try the jokes out. Excuse me. And he says, just go anywhere, dive bars. And I started to live a secret double life where I was a lawyer by day and a comic by night. And I would go to dive bars in the Bowery. And one of the places I actually worked was called Downtown Beirut 2. And it was a 2, which I love. I think they were franchising them. I don't know. It was like terrible.
They had all 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Do you remember that first night?
I remember a night. Nobody would ever pay attention to me or any of us, because they were like a hooker worked out of there. They dealt drugs out of there. There was a sign on the men's room door that said the toilet seats only to be used to go to the bathroom, not to cut coke. Thank you, the management. And it actually said thank you, the management.
To the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And so I think this thing of talking to people and talking to the audience was born there, because I realized nobody's paying attention. You do your joke, you don't know if it's any good. But then I realized if I talk to them and I stun them into paying attention, it's like giving a baby carrots. You give them some ice cream and then you slip the carrot in. I would then slip a joke in and I could tell if it was any good. One night, I'm waiting to go on stage. I'm sitting next to this guy. He must be like 6'3". He's got a shaved head. He literally has a fanned-out cobra tattooed on the back of his head that goes down his neck. And there's a guy on stage playing "Blowing in the Wind" badly, like it was all right. And I'm waiting, and I'm next, and I'm in my my Brooks Brothers like suit, it stood out like a sore thumb. Anyway, there's a fight at the pool table. This guy runs out of the bar. And another guy grabs the side of his neck and he starts screaming, "He cut me! He cut me!" And it was a drug deal going bad, and he sliced him across the side of the neck. Not to the point where he was going to die, but there was blood, and he was screaming, and he was drunk, and he was like, "He cut me!" And his girlfriend's like, "Oh my God, look at me!" He's like, "I know where he lives. He cut me. What is it? He's gonna be." And the answer, my friend, the guy just keeps playing like he's not getting off. Right?
This is a little surreal.
Yeah,
by the way.
and so
this never happens at Caroline's.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Doesn't.
No, well, on a Thursday maybe.
Oh, okay.
So I get up to go to the door. I'm thinking the show's over, and then all of a sudden you hear the MC go, "All right, you guys ready for some comedy?" I swear to God, this is all true. Now, I'm not doing this long enough to know I don't have to go up. Like, I could just walk out, but I think I have to go up. So I go on stage, and I'm thinking, like, I got to address this. This is like literally the cops are in the middle of the room. There's blood, whatever. And I go, "Nice to be here at Downtown Beirut, too. I always wanted to follow a slashing," right? which I thought was a pretty good line for a newbie, right?
No, absolutely.
Well, the guy who heard me say slashing, the guy who got slashed heard me say that, and he had these cocktail napkins there that he was pressing up against his cut. They were bloody, and he goes, "Hey, you making fun of me? I don't need to take." And he takes the napkins and he throws them at me, and they
bloody napkins.
Yeah, and they hit me in my shirt. And they stick to my shirt. Now I have a blood stain on my shirt like the size of a baseball. and now I don't know if this is like the Italian in me, and I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. Screw this. I'm not getting like a normal person's like, this is ridiculous. I got to get out of here, right? So, like, a couple more minutes go by. He's wandering around. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing anyway?" I go, "I'm trying to tell jokes." He goes, "Oh, yeah?" He goes, "I like jokes. Hang on a second." He turns back to the bar. He goes, "Hey, everybody, shut the hell up. This guy's trying to tell jokes." And the whole place shuts up. And he's still bleeding from the neck, right? And I get back in the car, and I go back to the firm, and this deal I was working on blew up, and I couldn't go home and change, and I had so I turned into a 12-year-old, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hide my blood stain with this file folder, and nobody will, like you break your mother's vase and you glue it back together and you think she doesn't notice, but the minute she walks in the room, she's like, "You broke my vase." She sees I walk into this conference room trying to hide the blood stain. There's like 15 lawyers and bankers, and the senior partner starts screaming at me. He goes, "Where have you been? What have you been doing? Why do you have a blood stain on your shirt?" Now I'm dead. I don't know what to say because I've been hiding this other life because the firm would not have approved of it, Right. And I was stuck. I was totally like I didn't know how to respond. And he goes, "Why?" And then another lawyer goes, "What kind of shirt is that?" I go, "It's a Brooks Brothers shirt." "Why?" He goes, "I know how to get blood out of a Brooks Brothers shirt." He goes, "Club soda and lemon juice." I swear to God. And
Lord.
And then another guy. I know.
Did you ask him why he knew that?
Well, exactly. Then a second guy goes, "Well, Armani's really good for stains and blood stains." And I was like, are you people like remaking American Psycho? What are you doing? Like, it was the weirdest thing.
Isn't it funny? You didn't even interview them. They just gave it to you.
They just gave it to me, yeah. And so that whole life that I started to lead led me down this path of like about a year and a half later of like, do I do this full time or not? Do I give up all the security and pursue something I'm really passionate about? And I was really scared. And then even after I made the decision, I had a lot of doubts because I felt like I'm making the wrong decision. And then I ran back to the money, and I actually went back to Wall Street for a little while. And then I left again because I realized that this is super cliche, but it really did pick me, and I didn't pick it.
Right.
And
you had to go back.
And I had to go back. So anybody listening out there, and I don't even think it's career specific. I think it's relationships too. You're in relationships, it's not good, it's dysfunctional, whatever. You don't want to leave because it feels comfortable, it's scary. But I didn't want to look back and say I should have. And you asked about how my parents reacted. When I told my mother I think I want to leave Wall Street to be a comedian, she looked at me and she goes, "That better be your first joke."
All right, look, we got to take a break. When we come back, I want you to hear how he almost haggled on the price of putting his dog down, which is, I know. But then look, he's big into adoption, okay? So I got a text message, "Oh my God, I'm looking at a 289-page merger document right now. I can't believe he gave this up."
Get out.
Paul Mecurio's here. We'll be back with more right after this.
Show.
Paul Mecurio does his show, Permission to Speak, where he brings the audience members up to interview them, and that's the show. And it turns into a funny /fun/ sometimes serious thing. And I think it's great. It's awesome that there's this interactivity going on, and you interview them. But I love how you let them interview you for a few moments. I can't be interviewed. When someone's interviewing me, I always turn it around and interview them. I'm sure you sometimes.
You know
do
what?
that.
That's happened to me a couple of times. They'll go blah blah blah, and I'll go, "Oh, well, where are you? Where are you?" And then I have to stop myself.
But that's you.
I know.
That's your story.
Do you find you're like?
So you're doing it.
Sorry.
Wait. But when Jimmy Fallon was here, it's funny because the two of you were doing that.
Yeah.
You'll start
It's like
interviewing him.
in the
and
gay
then
world, it's like two
Fallon-
bottoms. We don't know what we're gonna do. So I don't know. Did we just back up to each other? I don't know. Hey, so okay.
I am so horny right now.
Oh God! When Paul got here, we were talking in the other room about how he is into adopting animals that need homes, and we know there's never ever going to be enough homes for all the animals that need to be adopted. But you've had several dogs, and you actually had to do that thing one night where you had to take your dog in and have your dog put to sleep, which is the saddest day of your life.
It really is.
There's guilt. There's all sorts of.
And you've got a kid. We have a kid, and this isn't about. I'm not making fun of, putting dogs on. This is about why I need help. mental help. Because I confront people when I think something's not right and I'm going to change people's behavior.
Just like Dave Brody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, you got to let things go. And so, and I think really that's why my wife and I are together, because we sort of yin and yang. But I really believe, like, a switch goes off in me, and I really believe that if I say this, that person will stop being a jerk to me and then other people. Okay, so we take.
Good luck with that, by the way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Trust me, there's stories. I almost got arrested on 86th Street. I pulled my pants down over a plastic bag. It's like,
What?
yeah.
I saw that in a movie once.
I swear. It just happens. It's not like it's planned. So anyway, it's like 3:30 in the morning. The dog's really laboring. We think it's time. We take it to this all-night vet place in Manhattan. We had adopted the dog at Bidawee. Great place. We go in. No one's in the vet place. No, it's just the vet tech. Somewhere behind the scenes is the veterinarian, and then there's a person at the counter who registers you in or whatever. And I go, I think we have to put our dog down. The woman goes, that's $350, just like that. And my first thought was, I'll let it out on the highway. I'm not spending that kind of money.
Oh, my God.
No,
my
kidding.
God.
You
No.
monster.
No, I know. I'm just.
He doesn't mean that.
I didn't mean that. No. So, so then I go, excuse me. She goes, I have to. He's like, and then I say, hey, what? She goes, it's 300. And now I'm already starting to go like, that's like a weird thing to say to somebody. The first thing out of your mouth.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm sorry, whatever. And I go, well, the dog's. Maybe it's just having a bad night. Can the vet look at the dog? And she goes, that's going to be $150. And now she's like, I feel like I'm buying a TV at Best Buy and we're negotiating. And I go, what? She goes, well, yeah, and we need the money up front. I'm like, what is this, the mob? What are we doing here, right? She goes, well, and then I go, and I said it again, and she repeated, and then my switch went off. And I take my index fingers and I put them next to my eyeballs and I go like this. The doctor can't just come and look at the dog. He can't come out and look at the dog. And I'm like pointing at and my wife's like, oh, here we go. Right. So she goes, no. And I go, well, this is ridiculous. I go, and then she goes, well, this is just the way it is. I go, but there's nobody here. Can't he just come out? And she goes, no, that's just the way it is. And now I'm like, you want me to spend $500 to put a dog down at 3:30 in the morning. You're taking advantage of an emotional situation, and now I'm ranting like this, and I'm not going to do this. And I say to my wife, Carol, and I actually say these words, we're going to find a cheaper place to have our dog killed.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my Lord.
I know. And
you were in a bad state.
I was. And that was a moment I think we've all had here in the studio and people listening, like, where you hear yourself do that and you go, I got to move to the woods. Like, I got to move to the woods. I can't be around people anymore.
There's no Groupon for what you needed.
No, exactly.
But okay, so you go to a deli and try to get some tuna fish.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, I tell you there was the end.
Oh, there's more to this?
Well, I take the dog home.
What happened?
We take the dog home real quick. I take the dog home. We're waiting for the ASPCA to open up in our neighborhood. My son wakes up. He had said goodbye to the dog. Now the dog's back. He's like, oh, is the dog better? My wife's like, no. Why is the dog here? And my wife is hilarious. She goes, your father's a raving lunatic. That's why. Yeah. And then we took it to the ASPCA, and it was $85. And it was such a bargain. I thought I should go get 2 other dogs and have them put down 2, but I didn't. No.
I will not tolerate this talk.
Yeah.
Okay, to the tuna. What's about the tuna fish?
So I live on the east side. For people don't know, there's east side, west side of Manhattan.
A lot of people eat tuna fish up there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big tuna area. And I was with somebody, and this guy had like a salad with grilled chicken, and I had a salad with a scoop of tuna and a couple of Cokes. And it was $43. It was even like living here 20 years. You go, that's crazy. I think I'm getting ripped off. And again, I start to think, but it's like kind of a business thing. I don't want to look like I'm cheap. I signed the thing, and I'm heading back to the Daily Show studio, which is on the west side. Now, for people listening, it's like a 20-minute drive, an expensive cab ride to go east-west in the city in the middle of the day. All right.
You just spent $43 on tuna.
Hey, listen, I'm a big shot, buddy. Okay. You know? So now I'm in the studio rehearsing, and I am not paying attention to anything because I don't care. I'm just thinking about this scoop of tuna and what's going on with the tuna. It was just a scoop of tuna like you get ice cream, right? And I'm like obsessed, and then I go off to the corner, and I look at the receipt, and the guy charged me $7 for a scoop of tuna. And I was like, I got ripped off. So now my switch goes off, and I call the diner, and I go, hey, why did you charge me $7 for a scoop of tuna? He goes, I had to charge it like it was a sandwich. I go, but it wasn't a sandwich.
Okay.
He goes, but I had to charge it like that. I go, but there was no, it's not. He goes, but I go, there's no but. There was no evidence of bread, lettuce, tomato. It wasn't a sandwich. He goes, but I go, what is this you had to? Is there like tuna legislation that's been passed that I don't know about? He goes, well, you know, this, I go, I've been coming to your diner for 4 years. You're in my neighborhood. You're going to do this to me? That he goes, well, I go, I'm going to listen at 6 o'clock when we're done here. I'm going to come back and I want $3 back for my scoop of tuna. And then I realize I'm negotiating over a scoop of tuna. And again, it's like, I got to move to the woods. It's like, I can't.
It's true.
And so he stood his ground and I stood my ground and I got so mad. He goes, that's it. No, I'm charging like it's a sandwich. And I go, you're going to charge me like it was a sandwich? He goes, yeah. I go, well, then I want my whole sandwich. And I got in a cab and I drove all the way back and I made him wrap me up 2 slices of wheat bread, lettuce, tomato, and the pickle. I swear to God.
It's the principle of things. Okay, the reason why I wanted you to tell the story is that's Dave Brody.
That is you.
Dave Brody's writing a book. What's the book called?
Oh, it's Even Is Not Even Free Dessert. It's about how you should get extra even when they give you your steak for free because they burnt it. You still should get free dessert on top of that for your trouble.
He went into a Chinese restaurant one time. Tell the story real quick. We're really late, and Nate's like crapping his pants.
They messed up my order. They made me wait 40 minutes for dumplings or something. And so she says, oh, I'm sorry. It was a lame excuse. And so I went to the refrigerator, took a grape soda. I go, we're even, right? This will make us even.
He just started drinking their sodas, saying, we're even now.
And he just walked out with it.
And he walked out with it.
They made me wait 40 minutes.
We're good.
I said, we're good now, right? And she's like, oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
No.
He stole soda.
He robbed a Chinese restaurant.
It's not okay. He totally rolled a Chinese restaurant.
He can play me in the movie.
Seriously, Brody, if ever anyone on this show has a problem with a company, needs to make a phone call to customer service, we have him do it.
I'm the guy that has to speak to the manager. I'm that guy.
I'm the other guy.
This is so cute.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get you free tuna.
All right. Well, look, we got to go. But we found another Brody. No, you two are soulmates.
Yeah.
Paul, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've been a big fan of the show. I really appreciate you having me on.
And I love what you do on your show. In your show, I've got to come see that.
Yeah, please. It's on Telecharge. People can get tickets there, and it's at the Actors Temple Theater here in New York. And it's really fun. And I can say honestly, it's something unique. That's what people have been saying, and that means a lot to me. And to your point earlier, it's something that people leave, and it sticks with them for a little while, you know, because some of these stories are really great.
And we need more of that. And I want to see a Netflix special sometime soon.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny because we're Frank and I are talking about what we can do with this beyond a live show.
Awesome.
Because people are saying, like, we kind of need this show. It's kind of bringing people together. It's not a big kumbaya show, but, like, it's very divisive in the country right now. And it's like, this definitely connects people.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
divisiveness?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's all good.
Don't you read the paper?
It's just a bad dream.
There's
That's
nothing
all.
divisive going on. I would like to see that. But congratulations. Permission to Speak. It's running on Broadway. But like I said before, do the Google on Paul Mecurio and just look at anything and everything online that you can. And thank you for coming in, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really fun. Thank you.